listening to Speaking with One Voice with Rodney Payne. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, topics you'd like discussed on the show, or if you'd like to be a guest on the show, please email us at rpayne@onevoiceinc.org. That's rpayne@onevoiceinc.org. You can also search for us on Acast, Google Play, SoundCloud, and iTunes. Just look for Speaking with One Voice. Now, here's your host, Rodney Payne.
Hello, and welcome to Speaking with One Voice. I am your host, the coach, Rodney Payne. I am so excited to be with you again this week, as we are each and every week, as we add value to you and or your leadership team. We want to stop and just say thank you for being a part of what we do here at Speaking with One Voice. We thank you for liking our podcast, rating it, and subscribing to it so that we can continue to grow in this digital space. Also, I want to just remind you that we are now on YouTube at Rodney R. Payne. So let's do the checklist. Social media at Rodney R. Payne. You're liking our post, and you're also turning on your notifications at Rodney R. Payne on our YouTube channel. You're subscribed there. You got the bell clicked so that you can get the latest content. And you are locked in, and we are growing each and every day. So thank you so much for that. Also, don't forget, stop by rodneyrpayne.com. We have a free gift there for you. It's how to move the needle in your organization. Just click on the website there, download that, and let's move your organization. Now, let me remind you, I've been telling you for a few weeks, I've got a big announcement, a big announcement. And today I want to let you know that we are bringing Live to Lead back to Oklahoma City in October, on October 9th, right here in Oklahoma City. We'll have Live to Lead. This is a legendary John Maxwell event with a list of speakers that you won't soon forget. So you can find information out about that at our rodneyrpayne.com website, and there'll be more to come, but I just wanted to let you know that we are here. Now, I am so excited. It's almost impossible for me to contain myself. I don't often have guests, but when I bring you a guest, listen, I go to the top of the pile. I get the best of the best, and I am super excited. This will be a run back. It's going to probably be like a little family reunion here. So let me try and take care of some business and tell you who I've got in the room today before I bring them on. And then we'll really get started in today's episode, where we're adding value to you and your leadership team. So today we've got Chris Robinson. Chris Robinson has written a new book. This groundbreaking book reveals how even the most accomplished leaders, coaches, and visionaries can fall prey to the subtle trap of complacency. Does that sound like you? A quiet force that halts progress and stifles potential. So we get complacent, we can't get there. Drawing on his years of global experience with thousands of clients, Chris exposes how reaching a peak often leads to settling into routines that erode passion and innovation. He outlines his transformative 7-step framework to help you detect early signs of stagnation, reignite your drive, and map a renewed course towards extraordinary achievement. With clear, actionable advice on mastering efficient learning, forging powerful connections, and overcoming obstacles, this book is your essential guide to turning daily busy work into a dynamic journey towards a more fulfilling and impactful life. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let me invite and welcome into our podcast, Chris Robinson.
Hey, all right,
Chris, what's going on? Wait a minute. After that intro, we're supposed to get a crowd noise. All right, okay. Now we're good. How you doing, buddy?
Man, I'm doing great and glad to be back on here with you a half decade later, 5 years later, to be able to come back on here, spend some time with you. I love the fact that you're still in the game, still going strong, still adding value to people. So, man, I'm excited to be here today.
Listen, man, you were here 5 years ago. You were at that time we had hit the grand total landmark of 50 episodes. We are now over 200 episodes. We've added the video component. We've got the studio going, and we are still adding value to leaders every week. And I know this is a place that's dear to your heart because we are people of value who add value to people. Our mentor, John Maxwell. What my audience doesn't know, Chris, is that I started my business 10 years ago, and I had been teaching John Maxwell courses since about 2009, literally buying the box course and teaching it. But you became my mentor in about 2018. You became my first real coach. And man, my life and my business have never been the same.
Wow.
So I want to take a moment and say thank you for that. And then talk about how do we get here today, man?
Yeah. Well, man, thank you so much for allowing for me to be a part of your journey. I think that's one of the things that holds people back is not opening themselves to really invite somebody into their journey to say, "Hey, how can I help? How could you help guide me to get to where I want to go?" And when you're open to that, I mean, I'm telling you, life opens up in so many different ways. And in fact, one of the steps inside the book is guidance, because that truly has been the way that I got to where I am today. And I'd love to say, I'm self-made and I did all this stuff by myself, but it's 100% not the truth. I'm here today as a result of people, relationships, people that were further ahead of me that I said, "Hey, could I ask you some questions?" People that I would say, "Hey, could I, pay to be a part of your program?" And so it's because of mentorship and guidance I'm here today. And I'm excited to be able to now bring people along and have always brought people along for, almost 2 decades now, through mentorship journeys. So truly is honor and privilege to serve with you and add value to people with you each and every single day.
And listen, I know that you and I are both, we're about business and we're here for a purpose and we got to get this information out. But I'd be remiss if I didn't go down memory lane. My audience, maybe many are new and they may not know you, but do you have any children?
I do. I got a couple. Or a whole
A
lot.
couple, huh? A couple.
Right, yeah, they came out in a couple pregnancies, but there's a whole lot of them. They came out
Yeah,
in
that
those
story. I always look at that story and we talk about that, but you know, 6 of them, right?
Right, six,
How
yeah.
old are they now?
Yeah, so the triplets were the first to come out. They are 16 now. And so now they're all driving. They all have licenses. And I'll come back
Oh,
to a funny story about that one here in a second. And then David, the middle child that came out, he's the only one that came out by himself. He's 12. And then the twins, identical twin girls, are 9 years old now. So, man, we're in
well,
different phases of life right now.
listen, I can tell you that I just so you know, to give you a brief update, family has expanded. We now have 5 grandchildren
Oh,
going from
wow.
ages 7 down to 6 months old. We'll talk
Oh,
about
my
that.
goodness.
But
Yeah.
before you tell this driving story,
Right.
there's something that's alphabetic about your kids. Can you talk about
Right.
the alphabet there?
Yeah, absolutely. So they're named A through F. And so when the triplets were born, they labeled them on the ultrasound baby A, baby B, and baby C. And so we thought, oh, you know what? We should name them in order. So there's Ada, there's Brex, there's Chase. And then, the fourth one came along. We're like, well, let's just keep it up. It's D. And then, then E and F came. So we got E for Eliana. And then the last one we call finished. We call her finished is what we call her. It's over with.
Does that give her a hard time at school?
Right,
And they're calling
right.
roll finished. It's finished
Right.
here.
Her name is Faith, and just the sweetest little kid on the planet, man. Just amazing.
Awesome. So GHIJ.
No, it's finished. It's finished.
There's, there's a few more letters in the alphabet. I just thought I'd share.
Right.
So give me. I got to hear the driving story.
Yeah.
What's the driving story?
So we had one of the triplets. They had failed the driver's exam the first time around. And so, of course, it was because I only failed it because I hit a cone. And if I hadn't hit that cone, I would have passed. And, it was only by 1 point, of course. And that's the story. All right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. And so, we're back out on the road practicing driving again. And I mean, I'm still a little concerned. I got my seatbelt, my hand on the seatbelt. I don't know when the last time you rode with your hand on the seatbelt, but I was there. And, so I started to ask him some questions and said, hey, so what you thinking career wise? And, what do you want to do? Are you wanting to go to college? Are you wanting to start a business? What do you want to do? And he says, you know what? I think I want to be a helicopter pilot.
Oh my God. A helicopter.
Right. So here I am holding this seatbelt. And so I had to hold my tongue to not discourage this. But in my head, I'm just going, how in the world are we going to go from here to there?
We're hitting cones. Now I want to navigate the skies. Okay. Yeah. There's no cones in
Yeah,
the sky. Maybe that's it,
right,
right?
right. So I was able to hold my tongue, and I continued to inquire about where this thought came from because nobody in our family flies or anything of that nature. And so it was good. I held my tongue. I was able to encourage in the moment and was able to ask, "Hey, do you mind if I buy you some books? What would that path look like?" And he obliged. So we're talking down that path now. But man, I tell you what, in that
Oh,
blink of an eye, as I'm grabbing this belt, I'm going. I don't know. I don't know if I can see this, son.
fireman, football player, basketball player, doctor, lawyer. Look at
Right,
that. Helicopter pilot.
right.
Yeah, don't know about that. Well,
Oh,
listen,
man.
we're about to hop into this thing. We could talk all day, and I know that, but I
Indeed.
want to really use our time wisely. So, listen to our audience. I want you to get your phone or your notepad or whatever you take notes on.
Yeah.
We're about to go on a journey that's going to add value to you. You're going to get, I'm telling you, I'm going to give you an opportunity to pre-order your copy of the book before we're done today. But right now, don't waste this moment. I
Yeah.
want you to make sure that you add value to yourself. So Chris, let's talk about it from
Yeah.
your journey to leadership. Is kind of what I want to talk about. I
Mhm.
know you're currently the EVP of the Maxwell Leadership Entrepreneurial Solutions Group. How we came to meet in that regard. Can you walk us through your journey to this position? How did
Yeah.
you get there? Was there a specific moment that kind of ignited your passion for helping others break free from complacency and kind of
Yeah.
unlock their potential?
Yeah, it really goes back to a job that I have. When I think about what I get to do today, I mean, I travel the planet with John Maxwell, without John Maxwell, to go add value to people through speaking and just add value to people. I just love it. And it's really funny because I don't think about it often because this job didn't require for me to do anything specific. It required for me to be more of who I was. I didn't apply for this position. It wasn't something I put a resume for. I mean, I was called into this position when they were making a transition from one owner to the next to Mark Cole, and they said, "Well, who do you need? Who do you think can run this organization and lead the team?" And John said it. Paul Martinelli, who was the founder at the time, he said it. Mark Cole said it. And they came to me and asked me, "Hey, would you be willing to do this role?" Because I had been successfully unemployed for over a decade. I mean, I was doing just fine. And the last thing on the planet I was looking for was a job. And I said, "Well, hey, what is this going to require of me?" And it didn't require me to become anything else besides more of me and turn up that volume on who I am. And I don't think about it often, but I giggle often when I do think about it, going, this is the largest leadership training company on the planet that I get to lead. And like Dave Ramsey says, sometimes I just feel like I'm a turtle on a fence post. Somebody had to put me there. And so, I mean, it just truly is a joy and a privilege to get to do this, especially from the background I came from. I grew up there, right there in Oklahoma City. And, and so I truly do consider it an honor. But my shift to making the transition to adding value to people came very early in my career. I was fortunate at a very young age, around age 21, where I began making a substantial income. Around 21 years old, was making well over $100,000+ per year. By age 26, 27, was well into the 300K range and had done well. And all of that was good. But what happened inside of that journey to go from that base income level to that higher income level was I was introduced to personal growth and development. And that was through the basement of a church where I would go in and watch John Maxwell on a VHS TV tube combo set. I mean, it was high tech, state of the art, everything was there. But I would go inside there with every intent to come out and take action on what it is that I was learning from John Maxwell. And I was applying those principles in the workplace and begin to get promoted. And I thought, oh my goodness, this personal growth stuff is really good. But there was a major shift that happened, as I began to study the 21 laws of leadership. And that shift that happened for me that truly changed everything was when I shifted from a me to we strategy. When I shifted from, trying to be the star to really becoming a star creator. And when I was able to just figure out, man, instead of me trying to be the star, the top sales producer, the top this, if I could be the person in the organization that helps create stars, that would make me way more valuable. And when I made that shift and I began to help people get promoted on the job, and more managers came from my team than any other team inside the organization, I fell in love with that 10% of the job, which was helping develop people, helping people grow. And man, I knew that's what I wanted to do.
Wow. Listen, there is so much gold in that little 3 minutes. But if you take one thing away from that, you should take away from me to we.
Right.
That's what we do here is we add value to others, and that's the biggest payoff. I often say it like this, Chris. It's like I get the privilege of those who I help and serve. I get the privilege of watching their life unfold in an 8K view,
Right.
and it's right before my eyes, and I get to play a small part in that. That is so exciting to me. So we love that. Let's dig a little deeper. Let's deal with some personal inspirations.
Yeah.
What I know is every leader has a unique story, often shaped with mentors and experiences along the way. And you and I have had some similar ones along the way. Who are some of the influential figures in your life that inspired you to pursue this path in leadership and personal development?
Yeah, initially it was, of course, the bigger names of the industry in the very beginning, because that's who I was exposed to. So, as I was learning and growing, I was heavy into John Maxwell and was really deep into his content. Jim Rome, just phenomenal communicator. I just loved his cadence, his pace, his humor. And so just loved his content and his practical application that you can apply to life. Les Brown, remember Dr. Dennis Kimbrough being a significant impact.
Absolutely.
In fact, a turning point in my life that I even talk about in the book was actually in a session with Dr. Dennis Kimbrough at TD Jake's very first MegaFest. And I remember that one. This was what I call my TV turnaround, because Dr. Dennis Kimbrough was commissioned to rewrite the book of Think and Grow Rich from an African-American perspective. And so he began to go into the homes of all these African-American millionaires and interview them. And he said something that day. He said, I realized something. The larger the house, the smaller the TV, and the bigger the libraries. He said, but the smaller the house, the bigger the TV and the smaller the libraries.
Wow.
And I remember in that moment, that's what I call my TV turnaround, because I had a problem. I had a 55-inch TV, 800 square foot apartment, not a book to be found. Now, come on. And I had to take the back off the tube TV to get into the apartment.
I can only imagine, because these were not flat screens back in that day.
Right. They were not flat screens back in that day. And so, and then if I look at, personal proximity, so those were mentors from a distance, but personal proximity was a lot of time with a speaker, Lethea Owens. I had called when I knew that I wanted to go into the direction of speaking. I called every single speaker that I could find on Google in the St. Louis area and said, hey, I want to find out more about being a professional speaker. I'd love to serve you at any of your events. If you got anything available, just let me know. I didn't get a call back from anyone except for one lady who called me back and said, oh, Chris, that's very nice. I don't have anything for you. Well, a couple days later, she calls back. She says, hey, my cameraman canceled. Would you be my cameraman? I said, indeed. And I showed up. I served her, added value to her. She opened up and allowed for me to ask questions. And even, in fact, gave me an opportunity to speak that very next day in front of a couple hundred people. And that woman became a mentor in my life very early on. And so she's still a great friend of mine today. But I would not be here today without mentors, without guides in my life.
So from cameraman to speaker.
Yeah.
All because you said, sure, I'll do that. Wow.
Well, and that's the thing. So there's two ways to get a mentor. There's two ways to get a mentor. It's seek to serve or pay to play. Seek to serve or pay to play. Either way, what you're trying to do is get proximity, because you can learn certain things from a distance, which you should. And don't think, well, I can't have a mentor if I can't, be with them. But there's something that happens. There's some things that are taught and there's some things that are caught. And when you are in proximity of those people, either by serving or by paying to play, you're able to catch things that that we do not read about, that we do not write about, that we do not talk about, that you're just able to see and pick up on. And so I knew that if I wanted to be a speaker, I needed to get in the room with speakers. So whether that was as a cameraman, whether that was in moving chairs, whether that's in carrying bags, hey, I'm there to learn.
Wow. Listen, you are listening to Speaking with One Voice. I am your host, the coach, Rodney Payne. Today, we've got Chris Robinson in the room, and we are talking about his book that he's just completed. It's for pre-order now, but I want to introduce the book to you to make sure that you understand the concepts you're getting are directly from the book. And it's From Drift to Drive. And so we're looking at this book. We're looking at some concepts in the book. And if you've been taking notes, my friends, you are already better for the time you've invested with us so far. We've got a lot more to get to. I want to get back into that. But as Chris is he continues to unfold these concepts, I kind of slid them in the back door to let you know what we're getting at here. So get ready. In a little bit, I'm going to give you an opportunity to get information on how you can get the book pre-ordered, be one of the first ones to get the book in your hand, and to get linked into Chris's ecosystem so that you can have an opportunity to benefit you and your team with this great resource. So back to it, Chris. I want to talk about, well, my friends, I hate to cut this short, but that's all we have time for this week on Speaking with One Voice. I hope you are enjoying this interview with Chris Robinson as we discuss his book, From Drift to Drive. It is an exciting topic. Go back and replay this and get your nuggets, take your notes, and make sure you get your pre-ordered copy of the book at drifttodrivebook.com or wherever you order your books. Listen, that's all I've got time for today. So I want you to do what we always do here. Know that we appreciate you listening to Speaking with One Voice with your host, the coach, Rodney Payne. And until next time, my friends, as always, let's keep growing together.
You've been listening to Speaking with One Voice. Please remember to follow Rodney Payne on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Rodney R. Payne. We'd love to hear from you and get your feedback, so please feel free to leave us comments. And if you would, rate and subscribe to the podcast, we'd appreciate that as well. Don't forget to set up for notifications so you can get the latest updates and social media posts and get new podcasts when they're released. As always, use the hashtag Speaking with One Voice or simply SWOV on any of your social media posts. On behalf of Rodney Payne, thanks again for listening to Speaking with One Voice.